It's time. It's time. It's time to grow and glow. And I have the guide for you. Yeah. Hey, happy Monday. How are you? Wow. Wow, wow, wow. It's Monday already again. That's all I have to say. So, of course, you already know what I'm going to ask. How was your week last week? Well, yeah, how was your week last week? I hope you had a great, prosperous week. Now, this week, oh, wait, before I get into that, it's Coach Faith here. And you already know what I'm going to ask. How did you guys do with the challenge last week? It was a long one. So let me double check to see exactly what that challenge was. Because last week, for the challenge, I wanted you to sit with these journal prompts and be honest with yourself. No judgment, just truth, of course. It was, you answered these 5 questions. So these 5 questions were, what parts of my life feel most exhausting right now? Who do I feel resent towards, or who do I feel resentful towards, even if I love them? Where do I feel like I'm always performing, not being? What's something I keep saying yes to that I know is a no? And then lastly, where have I portrayed myself for the sake of being liked, accepted, or needed? So tell me how you guys did with that. I know that was it was a very, very deep challenge last week. So I hope you guys did good with that. We are still focusing on our boundaries. Now, today we are on our third episode. I think it's our third episode of our boundary series. So today we are going to focus on how to set a boundary without feeling bad. That's what we're going to talk about. And some of the things that we're talking about today may seem familiar to you because remember in episode 3 months ago, was that? Yeah. So episode 3 months ago, we talked about the power of saying no and how that and why it's confident or something like that. But we talked about all of these things already. But now I'm reiterating because now we're focusing on boundaries and how important boundary is in our everyday life, in our professional life, just every aspect of our life. Boundaries are very important and how to make sure that we value those and make sure we're putting those in our lives. Okay. So, oh, wait, hold up. I put it down here. So in episode 3, we talked about it. And episode 3 was how saying no is a confident move. That's what I was trying to say. So you already know how we're going to start. Let's take a deep breath. And our affirmation that we're going to use for today is saying no to others is like saying yes to myself. Simple, straight to the point. I don't have to explain it at all. It's self-explanatory. Saying no to others is saying yes to myself. When we're talking about this affirmation, though, you have to understand that when you're saying no to others and saying yes to yourself, that's not selfish. That's sacred because you honor yourself and you value yourself so much that you know it's okay to say no to other people. Like, that's it. You know it's okay to say other people. There's nothing wrong with saying no to other people. All right. You are allowed to honor yourself, your limits, your values, your efforts. You're allowed to do all of those things. So saying no is a power move. And that's how I want you to think about it. Okay. Now, I want us to go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of this. As you know, the title is again, how to set a boundary without feeling bad. Without feeling bad. Okay. And I want you to know too that guilt doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong, right? Guilt could mean that you're doing something new that you're not used to, that you're uncomfortable with it. It makes you feel guilty because you've never done it before, right? And you don't know how people are going to react to it. But remember, growth requires discomfort. Growth requires you to be uncomfortable, right? So when you're feeling guilty about something that you're not used to doing, it's okay because it's not normal for you, right? It's something that you're trying to grow into and it's something that you're trying to learn. Okay. Now, I know I said I was going to kind of leave family out of it until we got to that point. So now we're kind of semi at that point because we're talking about boundaries, right? And if you grew up in a household where boundaries weren't accepted or boundaries weren't respected or boundaries seemed as they were being disrespectful, you were too young to have boundaries, all those things that we hear when we're a kid, it's going to feel weird for you to try to set a boundary now. Because remember, like I talked about a few weeks ago, we spent 18 years of our lives being in a household where we had to follow our parents or whoever you were living with rules. And now we're out on our own and we're still listening to those rules, some of those rules that were set by our parents. Because even though we were at home for 18 years, some of us haven't been outside of home for 18 years. I mean, wait, how old am I? I think I'm 26. I'm 27. I'm 27. Yeah, I'm 27. So I left home when I was 18. So I've only been out of home for 9 years. So I still have 9 more years to go. I still have 9 more years to go to really like have 18 years with myself. You know what I'm saying? So there's some other things that I've learned at home that I'm still holding on to because that was the majority of what I did. So now when you think about it like that, I want you to know that feeling guilty about doing something that you've never done before is normal. It's human nature, right? Because you never done it before again. And I want you to know that, setting boundaries is not that you're mean, right? Setting boundaries doesn't mean that you're trying to push people out. It's just you being honest with yourself and knowing what you need for yourself, right? Well, I want us to talk about the reasons why people feel bad when they set boundaries. Okay. So I wrote notes on here, so now I gotta go to my phone because I wrote notes in here too. Because I didn't finish right here. I think it's easier on here. So let's see. So we'll put on here. All right. So here are some reasons where people feel, as stated, where, why people feel bad about setting boundaries. The first one is you don't want to disrespect anyone. But you know what's crazy? How do you feel like you disrespected somebody when it's your life? You know what I mean? Like you're setting a boundary for you, not for them. So how is that disrespectful to somebody that has nothing to do with them? Just ponder that. Think about that, okay? Number two, you're afraid of confrontation, which a lot of us are. There's nothing wrong with that. But remember, when you think that you are avoiding conflict, you're only hurting yourself, right? Confrontation is healthy. You're supposed to have healthy confrontations. Life isn't always peaches and cream. It's okay to have a confrontation every now and again. That's healthy. All right. Number three, you don't want people to think you're selfish or too much. And if they think that, who cares? If people think that you're selfish or you're too much because you set a boundary, fuck them. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to zoom in myself like this. Fuck them. If you think that I'm selfish because I'm trying to set up a rule in my life for you to respect, that's crazy. That's crazy. Remember, your life does not revolve around other people. Okay? Your life revolves around you. All right? And that's something that you have to understand. It's okay to be selfish in your own life because it's your life. And you already know what I'm going to say. No one's with you when you close those doors at night. I mean, someone may be with you, but when valuing, when it comes to other people, they're not with you, right? Number four, you tie your worth to being needed or useful. Now, last month, we talked about being worthy and self-love, self-worth and self-love, right? And we talked about that. Your worth is not tied to what you give people, what you do for people, what you can provide, who needs you, who doesn't need you, how you're useful. That's not what your worth is tied to. Okay, and that's something you have to understand. Now you can see why we talked about self-worth already, because it's coming into our boundaries, because we need to know our worth before we can set up that boundaries. So now remember, we talked about worth last week, so we know that our worth is not tied to being useful or assisted or needed. So it should be easier for us to set a boundary and not feel guilty about setting a boundary that's needed in our life for us to become the best version of ourselves. Does that make any sense? And when I say that, some lady at work was like, I told her, I said, does that make sense? And she was like, is that like a new people thing? And I'm like, no. I mean, when I'm explaining to someone, I want them to know what I explain to them makes sense to them. Because sometimes I think I over explain like some things or like add unneeded details. So I want to make sure it makes sense to people. Like y'all. Sometimes I talk about something, they probably like, damn, that shit don't really make no sense. But it made sense up here. You know what I'm saying? All right, let me get back into it. And then number 5 is you confuse being light with being safe. I don't really have anything to say to that, honestly. That's like deep, right? Your boundaries, though, is going to be what makes you feel safe, right? You setting that firm rule in your life of what people can do, what they can't do, that is what's going to make you feel safe. Being liked is not what makes you feel safe. And if it does make you feel safe, it only makes you feel safe for a moment because you're doing it for other people. Remember, anytime that you do anything for somebody else, it doesn't last because it's for them and not for you. And I want you to understand that, and I want you to realize that. And I know I said that shit last week. I say a lot of the things repetitively because we all need to understand how important these things are when we're working on becoming the best version of ourselves. I want you to know when you're setting a boundary, you can be kind and firm, right? A boundary is not disrespectful. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. I mean, we all have different boundaries, right? All I'm trying to say is that whenever you set a boundary, setting a boundary is kind and you can be firm at the same time. No, it's not disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? You're just telling people how to treat your life. And if they can't respect that, then get them out of your life. That's simple. That's like point blank, period. That's it. You can be kind and you can be firm. You can love people and still have limits. There's limitations. You get what I'm saying? It's like the same thing when we're talking about our family. We can love our family, but you know what I'm saying? We can still have limits with them though. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so like when we talk to your family, some of us maybe don't want to share all of our personal life with your family, and that's a limit that you have. They may be like, oh, how are you and so doing? And you don't want to share that. You don't have to share that just because they're asking you and just because they are your family. You don't have to do that. All right. And the last one, you can be generous and not dormant. Oh, hold up. You can be generous and not a doormat. What is that saying? You can give people things or do things for people and still not be a person that's being ran over or somebody that they're running over. You know what I'm saying? It's a difference between the two, of course, but sometimes some of us overgive and then we end up being ran over. And then I put like a car on it over something. I wish I could see my producer right now. So when I record, I turn off, we turn off. So we have two fans in here and my producer has a, what is it called? A purifier? An air purifier that she uses. So I have to turn all that off because of the noise. You know what I mean? So it doesn't pick up that. Normally she's very hot. Today, she wrapping up in a little her little cardigan. Her little cardigan. All right. So let's get into it. So let me give you some real boundary setting language so you can use them. So when you have to set a boundary, you're not freezing or you're not over explaining when that moment comes. Okay. So, number one, the soft no. The soft no. What is a soft no? That doesn't work for me right now. It's not you actually saying no, but you're saying no. That doesn't work for me right now. And that's it. Remember, do not over-explain yourself. We said that last week. Do not over-explain anything. Okay? The soft no is, that doesn't work for me right now. So here's another one. I appreciate you for thinking of me. I have to pass this time, though. That's the soft no. All right? The second one, the direct boundary. What you mean? I'm not available for that. Or, please don't raise your voice when we talk. Or, I'm stepping away from this conversation for now. And that's it. That's your direct boundary. You don't have to explain anything. All right? Number three, the time saver. I can help, but I only have 30 minutes. I can help, but I only have 5 minutes. I can help, but I only got 20 minutes. Boom. And that's it. That's it. That's it. The second one. I'm free next week, but not today. That's the time saver. That's the time saver. I'm free, but not today. Sorry, not sorry. And number four. This is what we call a digital reset. Okay, so number four is I don't respond to messages after 8 p.m. I'm unplugging this weekend to reset. I'll catch up Monday. And that's it. That's it. And also, too, when I think about a digital reset could also be you take a time away from social media. You take his time away, from being on your phone too much, that's consuming a lot of your time. You're taking away from that just to be able to set a boundary. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Now I'm gonna give you these 5, but 4 again. They were 4, but I wish we had 5. So hold on, let me add another one. Number 4 is the digital reset. Now number 5, which is one that's very I think it'll hit for a lot of us. Okay, number 5, the boundary with the loved one. Okay, because boundaries, they're going to hit different when it's your family, when it's your partner, when it's your friends, whoever. Be as simple as, I love you, but I need some space right now. And remember, I said but don't say but, because but cancels out everything that you said ahead, before it, right? So I love you. I love you. I need some space right now, though. Just pause, right? I love you. I need some space right now, though. Another one could be, this conversation is important to me. I need to take a break, and I'll come back to it. Okay? Another one could be, I know that's how we've always done things, and I'm working on showing up differently for myself now. That's it. This one to me is very big because it acknowledges love while setting up that boundary. It acknowledges your love for this person always being firmer with your boundary and the boundary that you have for yourself. Because just because just because you're setting up a boundary for someone, that doesn't mean you don't love them. It's just something that you're doing different for yourself, and that's okay. And you have to be okay with that. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, for me, these 5 they're crucial for everything, because all of these, so when we're talking about the soft no, the direct no, the time saver, the digital reset, and the family one, all of these have to do with every single aspect of our life, because we may have a work family, right? And we have to use all these things with them too. We may just our regular friends, or when we're talking about work professionally, you can use all of these things, because you can work with people and still love them, just in another way. You know what I mean? So I want to make sure you guys are utilizing this. So let me say these 5 again. Oh shit. Let me say this 5 again. The soft no, the direct boundary, the time saver, the digital reset, and the boundary with a loved one. Something easy, something simple. Nothing too crazy, right? So let me just talk about me when we're talking about setting these boundaries. Because when I was working at so if you can hear and you know what it is, if you can't, find out. When I was working at that building, when I was working at that specific company, I had a hard time setting boundaries, just because I really did love where I worked at the time. I really did. And when I loved it, I was going to, spend all my time, my money, my energy there at that place. You know what I mean? So when I was in Tampa, it was like I didn't have it. But then when I got here to Texas, to Houston, I started getting it. The only thing and only problem I had was that I was setting a boundary very bluntly. So I would say, I'm not doing that. I'm not working that. And if something made me upset, I'm leaving for the day. And that was it. The only reason why, because there could have been ways that I could have said, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, actually, no. How I said it was fine, because I don't have to explain myself to anybody. So if I want to leave, I left. Right? And that's something that I think a lot of people sometimes really have a hard time accepting when they're not used to that. If somebody is not used to if a person is not used to boundaries being set towards them, they're going to react a certain way. And if they react that certain way, then it's time for you to remove yourself or remove them. The only reason why I said that, because the boss I had at the time, I don't think he liked somebody telling him, I'm not going to do this. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was hard for him to hear or to listen to. I mean, but I really don't care, because if I don't want to do something, I'm going to do it. Right? And if you have to fire me, then that's what you got to do, and that's what you did. So, I mean, who for you? Yippee for you, right? Yippee for you for making a decision that you couldn't handle. You know what I mean? And that's how I think about it. And I want you guys to know, when you are setting a boundary for for a certain thing, for a certain place, for a specific person, and they are very reluctant to the boundary that you set, I think you need to reevaluate some stuff. All right. I think you really need to think about some things, and because how can a person be upset with something that you're trying to do for your own life? How can you be mad because something is not going your way for something that I'm doing? You get what I'm saying? That's something you have to think about. Whether it's work, whether it's not work, it's still something you have to think about. And the reason why I keep throwing professional stuff in here too, because since I am an entrepreneur, right, it's things about where customers may say some things you like, what the fuck? Oh, fuck no, I'm not doing that shit. Oh, fuck no. Hell no. People, I think sometimes people do not understand that you are asking and calling me for a service. You calling me. So if my response isn't exactly what you're looking for, go with somebody else. That's very blunt, but it's the truth. Go with somebody else. Do something that somebody else is going to say that's going to make you feel good. But if that is, it's not me. You know what I'm saying? Be firm in your decision. Be firm in your boundary setting. Whether that's personally, whether that's professionally, be firm and stand on business. That's it. Stand on business. And I had to understand too, like while I'm talking about this, that being needed and valued is not the same thing. A job can need you, but they can need you, but they may not value you. They need you because they need to have some things done, but they don't value your time. They don't value your energy. They don't value any of that. And that's what I want you guys to think about. Because remember what I talked about. Our time is one of the most disrespected resources that we have. And some people don't even realize that they're disrespecting our time. If I schedule a meeting with you and it's time for us to have that meeting and you say, oh, I forgot, you're not respecting me and you're not respecting my time. Whether it was a mistake or not a mistake. If me and you take out the time to set out to actually have a business meeting to talk about business, respect my time. Because you respected your time, but you forgetting about mine. You know what I'm saying? Though these are some things that I want you to think about. Okay? And two, if people only feel connected to you when you say yes, that's a problem. That's the issue. And you need to get them out your life, man. We want to fuck with me when I say yes. What the fuck? Nah, that's not how life works. Because if they only fucking with you when you say yes, they're not connected with the real you. They're connected to that yes man. And you're not a yes man. You're not a doormat. Remember that. Okay? When you're setting a boundary, that is another part of you getting to know you again. And getting to know who you are at your core. And getting to know the things that you value and the things that you will not tolerate. And that's how I want you to think about it. Boundaries are essential in every single part of our lives, and we have to make sure that we're utilizing those. Whether it's a big boundary, whether it's a small boundary, all boundaries need to be valued. Because remember, if you do not value your boundaries that you're setting, how are you expecting other people to value them? And another one, if you want to even take it a step further, if you don't respect your boundaries, how are you expecting someone else to respect your boundaries? Excuse me. And that's how I want you to think about it, man. Like, that's how I want you to think about it. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. We all need them, even if you don't see them. There we go. Again, boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. We all need them, even if you don't see them. And that's it. And you already know what I'm going to say. This is your feel-good station, man. Get your ass in the bus. We're on our 3rd episode of Boundaries, and you should feel better and better every single time. We got a line. So get your ass up here. Okay? Now. You already know what time it is. Grow and glow. Oh, hold up. Like, what the rappers be doing? They be like this. Now. You already know what time it is. Grow and glow. Challenge. Grow and glow. Challenge. Okay, y'all. So, this week, it's another long one. Because boundaries, I actually want you to sit in and think about these. Okay? So I want you to do this week, okay? The first thing is I want you to choose one boundary you've been avoiding, whether that's with family or a coworker. All right. Number 2, write down how you want to communicate that boundary that you've been avoiding. All right. Number 3, notice the emotions that come up when you choose the boundary you're write down. Notice what emotions come up when you choosing the boundary that you've been avoiding and how you want to communicate it. All right. And number 4, then set the fucking boundary. That's it. All right. So I want you guys to know, right? I want you guys to know, and I want you to know the truth. Setting boundaries is not you being mean. Setting boundaries is you setting a standard for your life and how you want others to treat you in your life. It's essential, right? And remember, you can be kind and be firm. You can be loving and have a limit. You can have all of these things and still be the amazing, beautiful, wonderful, handsome person that you are. Okay? And I want you to feel that in your corazón, in your cabeza, Mariquita. and you know, we talked about self-worth, self-love. Boundaries are what those things consist of. I love myself so much that I set a boundary. I am worthy because I set a boundary. Boundaries are self-love in real time, self-worth in real time. And that's how I want you to look at it, okay? If we're still talking about boundaries and you still feel like you're feeling bad for setting one and you need some help and some assistance or some help on exactly how to not feel bad when you set that boundary, this is what you do. Come talk to me. Come talk to me. I'm your life coach. Let's discuss things that we can do to help you not feel bad about that boundary for yourself. And do your boundary for yourself, but not for other people. All right. You already know who it is. It's Coach Faith. Another week, another glow up. Thank you so much for letting me be your guide, and I will see you guys next week. All right. Ciao.